As the cliche goes, April showers bring May flowers. But usually what comes after is the heat and dryness of summer. Hello again, Essay here. And before the hot weather of the holiday shows up, you should indulge in my new short story, The White Cat, a free exclusive on Substack. The links are down below in description. Join Margot Thompson, a beautiful stage actress and recent widow who finds salvation in the form of a white cat during a night of terror. While checking out my oddball thriller, remember that my Glitch series is still available at Amazon and Barnes & Noble. The links are down below in the description. While you'll find my peculiar story about a white pussy entertaining, that doesn't mean I'm out of ideas. I still have more stories coming down the pike, so as long as I don't run into any mishaps, you'll see those stories as well. Now let's get back to the video. Hello again. Essay here. What are NGOs? Well, officially they are organizations that are basically standalone outfits. For example, the Sierra Club, you heard about those guys, or how about Greenpeace? Yeah, you heard about them, right? Yeah, those are NGOs. Well, they're not the only ones, you know. There are plenty of them. I mean, too many to count. Indeed, some NGOs been around for quite a while. Some over 100 years. But most NGOs only been around since the end of the Second World War. Indeed, according to the computer, the modern NGO supposedly was codified by the United Nations Charter. Apparently, I think it was Article 71, I think it was. I never read it, so don't ask me to quote it verbatim, okay? But some NGOs clearly are not who they pretend to be. Such as the National Endowment for Democracy. Heard about those guys? Yeah, NGO my ass. They're basically a CIA cutout. But anyway, some NGOs may have worn out their welcome. And I'm speaking particularly about HIAS. And you say, who the hell is that? Well, they've been around for a very long time. Since the late 19th century. Yeah, the acronym stands for Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society. And you say, oh, so it's about Jews, huh? Well, initially it was, but not so much anymore. Indeed, from what I could recall, the organization was originally set up here in the United States, supposedly to help Jews escape Tsarist Russia, you know, back during the pogroms. Yeah, those bad times. And later, you know, during the Nazi era, they helped the Jews escape Europe. Okay, though plus good. But since that time, they've been getting into a lot of interesting activities. And you say, like what? Yeah, well, for example, they supposedly helped a bunch of people escape Hungary during the revolt that happened in '56. And they helped people escape Cuba when Castro took over. And they helped a lot of Vietnamese escape South Vietnam when the North Vietnamese took that place over. You say, okay, so they're going around helping people flee chaos and mayhem. Well, Yeah, well, in a modern era, let's just say they've been sticking their noses where it's not wanted. Indeed, multiple people have said that this organization has been at the forefront of the migrant crisis down there at the border. And you say, what? Yeah, I was surprised too. But more than a few people said that, yeah, Highest has been down there helping people come across the border. Now, of course, some of you probably say, oh, maybe they're just refugees. Really, dude? I mean, too many people who've been down there said that most of those people down there don't look like the great huddled masses earning to be free. Indeed, Tim Pool famously said that most of the people down there are people who are A, not refugees, B, they're not families, mostly military age men, and C, in some cases, when they were asked what you come to the United States for, they would say something as ridiculous as, "Oh, I want a Xbox," or they say, "Oh, I'm coming here for Buffalo Wild Wings." No joke. These people actually were calling camera saying silly stuff like that. And I think, me, you can't get Buffalo Wild Wings down there in Mexico City. Well, anyway, Highest may have stepped in it and bagged up real good this time. And you say, how? Well, apparently they were caught handing out flyers. Now, of course, according to sources, it wasn't technically them, but a outfit that they are affiliated with called the Resource Center Matamoros. And you say, well, who the hell is that? Yeah, I never heard of them either. But apparently they are some NGO operating out of northern Mexico. And beyond that, that's all we know. But apparently their bread and butter is basically helping people cross the border illegally from Mexico into the United States. Seems like that's their alpha and omega. Well, anyway, according to Clayton Morris at the Redacted, these people, like Highest, may have really stepped in it and bagged up now, because apparently not only had they been caught, helping people who are not refugees coming across the border, apparently they're giving them instructions on how to mess with the upcoming presidential election here in the United States. Now you're probably saying, what? Yeah, that's what I said too. I said, what? But apparently the guy's got the receipts. Okay, now I'm going to show you a segment from his program, and he's going to explain it in detail. Okay, are you ready? All right, here we go.
How is President Biden going to win the election in 2024? Is it with a robust economy? No. Surging inflation numbers once again just out, showing Americans are struggling, and those prices are going to continue higher. Americans are feeling the pain at the pump. We've got a disaster unfolding in the Mideast. President Biden has the lowest approval rating of any president in modern history, but there is one way that they could win this election. And up until now, it really seemed like a conspiracy theory. Here's an idea: have the borders be wide open and have millions of illegal aliens come across the border and then vote for President Biden, right? It sounds ridiculous. Couldn't possibly happen, except that it is. And our next guest, Anthony Rubin from muckraker.com, was literally handed the documents at one of these shadowy non-governmental organizations south of the border that has ties to Homeland Security Secretary Mayorkas. It really sounds like something out of a spy novel, but it's true. So this document, Anthony is going to break it down for us and explain exactly what these illegal aliens are being told to do once they cross the border. Anthony, thanks for joining us here on the show. Welcome back.
Thank you so much, Clayton. It's always a pleasure and an honor. This document that was just broken today, it was a joint release by the Heritage Oversight Project and muckraker.com. So first of all, this document was found in Matamoros, okay? And apparently it's being distributed by the Matamoros Resource Center. That's like right over the port of entry from Brownsville. You cross over from Brownsville, and this is, literally like a 2-minute walk from the border. And it says in the document, it says in the bottom of this flyer, something along the lines of, be sure to vote for President Biden when you reach the United States so we could stay open for another 4 years. And apparently now there's pushback. People are coming out and they're saying that it's a fake, that this is some sort of fabrication, or that, they're not a part of this. I don't really know how that's possible, because the document that we obtained was actually obtained from within their office. Okay, number one. Number two.
Well, that's inconvenient. So now they're like, oh no, this is fake. No, you literally got it from inside of their own offices.
Unless somebody, listen, I'm going to say only the facts, only what I know. Maybe there was some elaborate setup that somebody wanted to frame her and they placed it there in their office. And that's what this was all about. But that wasn't the only place that it was found. There's a camp, an illegal alien camp right next to this place, the Matamoros Resource Center. And when I say next to, I mean literally a 1 minute walk. You walk over to this camp. And this is included in the Twitter thread where this was released. In the porta potties of this camp, this flyer was hung up inside of the porta potties. So again, unless this was some elaborate setup where they were trying to frame this woman, Gabrielle, who runs this organization, and they went and they hung up these flyers. I don't know what to say, but that, it has her name on it, it has a number on the bottom, and it says the information that I just mentioned to you.
Yeah, it says, and I'll read it exactly. It says, reminder to vote for President Biden when you are in the United States. We need another 4 years of his term to stay open. The RCM, the Resource Center in Matamoros. Now, this is tied to, of course, this has a little, shady history as it relates to the Department of Homeland Security, Alejandro Mayorkas, and HIAS, which is the Hebrew, I forget the full name of, it's the Hebrew something.
Immigrant Aid Society.
Say that again?
The Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society.
Right, which of course has been exposed now as also handing out maps and information to help and guide these individuals as they come across the border into the United States. Once that was exposed, they've removed some of the maps, and of course then they tried to do a smear campaign in the New York Times against journalists who have been trying to cover this and expose this. But can you explain the highest connection to this NGO handing out these documents telling people to vote for Biden?
Yeah, so the only connection there, basically what it is this small little building. It's not even an office building. It's just this little, 2-story, complex. And, apparently in that complex, there's a HIAS office there. And that's what's mentioned in that document. You can see HIAS, and it says that, there's a HIAS office here. But yeah, HIAS is, listen, assuming this isn't some elaborate setup, right? And this document is 100% legitimate, which I believe it to be, then that would have to mean, as far as I could see, that there is no way that people that were working on HIAS in this center did not know about these flyers, right?
Right.
How could you not know? Just so everybody's aware, the way that we were originally tipped off to this, it wasn't like we were just in this camp and we found these flyers. We actually were tipped off to this by a source in New York. We have a source that's working inside some of these hotels in New York. And he calls us up one day and he says, hey, I have an illegal alien that I just spoke to who showed me a picture of a flyer that he got from Matamoros that says to vote for Biden. And so that means that this illegal alien that's in New York now, probably released onto the streets, probably never going to be found again, but that's not the point. This illegal alien had encountered these same flyers and allegedly was handed to them by this organization, right? So now maybe he's in on the conspiracy too, if it's a hoax. But so my point is that in saying all this, as far as HIAS is concerned, they're in the same office building, and I don't see any way that these workers in HIAS would not know about these flyers. Speculation, though.
Yeah, it makes sense. And RCM, we should be clear, RCM, according to the Open Oversight Project, says RCM bills itself as an operation which houses functions for the Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society, HIAS, which helps illegal aliens enter the United States. Secretary Mayorkas, of course, is a former board member of HIAS, which received a number of grants from the Soros Open Society Foundation over the years. And as they're handed these documents, they, of course, then are guided to come into the United States, given safe passage, given refuge, and all of these different NGO-backed hotels and different places around the United States. So how does one then go from that, given handed a flyer, please vote for Biden, to actually voting for Biden? Like, what would the process look like, do you know, for one of these illegal aliens to actually obtain a way to vote in certain areas, certain states? Because we know that they can in certain areas.
Well, that would definitely depend on the state. But in some states, you can go and you can actually register to vote. And the only thing that you have to do is, before you actually submit your registration, you basically just have to swear to check a couple boxes, and you have to swear, you're basically taking an oath that you are an American citizen. And of course, if they find out that you're not an American citizen and you registered, you're supposed to be prosecuted, and it's a serious crime to do so. But that's what it is. So, but the point is, you can be an illegal alien and register to vote and just swear that you're an American citizen. It's as easy as that. Now, after you submit that registration, are there some checks, before the election to see, is this a legitimate person on our, in our voter base that should be allowed to vote? They definitely do some checks, but it's on record that in previous elections, there have been thousands of illegal aliens. I personally believe the numbers to be underreported, that have voted in our elections. But, they write it off as a fringe conspiracy theory, and they say that it's inconsequential. But, if this is actually, I was reading something from the AP that said it was a conspiracy theory today. And, if this document, it appears to be 100% legitimate, is legitimate, this is smoking gun evidence that they're funneling these people into our country and trying to, sway the outcome of elections, which we've known all along, but now we have an actual serious hardcore piece of evidence to prove it.
Right. As you point out, you don't have to be a citizen. You just have to swear that you are, and then you're able to go and vote. And to your point, like the idea that it's millions of individuals voting, we don't know that, but all it takes is thousands or even hundreds in certain districts to completely sway and tip an election in favor. And if you have areas, as we highlighted recently here on the show, in Tennessee, and of course in other areas where if you can tip certain districts in favor, then you can entirely sway in the entire election. So it doesn't take millions. It just takes a few thousand, right?
100%. For all the people on the left that continue to talk about, it's a grave threat to our democracy, Donald Trump. I mean, if you care so much about democracy, which I don't even like that word, we're a republic, but if you care so much about democracy, then you should be concerned about this. So, let's see what people on the left-hand side of the spectrum have to say about this report.
One of the other things, I'll get you out of here on this, Anthony, which is that according to Judicial Watch, that Secretary Mayorkas himself recently met with some of these entities, these NGOs, including Team Brownsville, Angry Tias, and Abuelas. So he's routinely meeting with these NGOs, which are helping to facilitate this illegal flood of immigrants across the border. And of course, he spoke in front of the House last week and said, nothing to see here. The border is secure. Our main focus is border security in the United States, protecting the sanctity of the United States border. What do you make of that? I mean, did you laugh when he said that? What was your response?
Well, I mean, it's really a joke. We are truly living in, Orwellian times here. And I'm not exaggerating when I say that, lies are truth at this point. You know what I mean? War is peace. These are literally the times that we live in. And so when I hear this, basically anything this man says, I mean, it should be treated as a joke. It should be laughed at. And the man is a treasonous entity, as far as I'm concerned. He has, allowed this country to be invaded, not only by people that may otherwise be, not looking to cause America any direct harm, but certainly tens of thousands of people who are looking to cause America direct harm. And, as far as I'm concerned, that's treasonous. The man should be in prison, really, in my opinion. But no, I don't take his comments very seriously at all.
I said I was going to get you out of here a second ago, but I'll get you out of here on this. When you look at what's happening right now with the flood of illegal immigrants coming across the border, and you're reporting over the past couple of years here on this story, do you see the United States government, when you look at people on the right who want to stand up and sort of support protecting the United States borders, and then you see people on the left, there seems to be a coordinated effort, of course, between these two entities, the right and the left. There's very few voices who are standing up and calling for us to close the border. Do you think that we are, as we head into this election year, going to see a border closure over the next couple of months? What's your sense of what you're seeing, the flow of immigrants coming across?
I think that is a very good question to ask. I saw on the news the other day that there was some question: could Biden unilaterally decide to close down the border if he so chose to do so? And right. I think that they may try to do something like that, right? And then during the debates, if they even have debates, then Joe Biden can say, well, border crossings are actually at a record low. They're lower than when you were president, or some nonsense like that, right? So maybe they'll try to shut it down. I mean, everybody knows that it's a horrible, horrible situation, probably the biggest crisis facing America. I think it's a bigger crisis than a U.S. dollar collapse, which is also coming. And the reason why is because, at least if we had just a bunch of sovereign citizens, red-blooded, 100% American citizens in this country that all back the republic, and the dollar collapsed, so we could come back from that. But I don't even know how you come back from this without some sort of, totalitarian system where you round these people up and ship them back to their country. I mean, that system scares me. So the point is, it's a massive crisis. And obviously, for political reasons, I think they're going to try to do something about it leading up to the election. And I think, God forbid, Joe Biden is put in office again. I think they're going to, just open it back up and crank it to hyperdrive. Because again, as I've said in past interviews, I'll continue to say, this is part, and everyone needs to understand, this is not, lack of understanding of the situation. This is not just a mistake and they don't know what's going on. This is part of a larger geopolitical agenda. This is Agenda 2030. This is about dissolving the United States as an idea, as a nation state, and ushering in basically the rise of a new globalist era where countries, the United States, will just be essentially an economic zone with a flag.
So yeah, exactly right. You mentioned this hoax idea. I'm just circling this through my brain here. Why would it be a hoax? And what would the goal be of a hoax? Someone on the left going down there, putting up flyers in porta potties in order to do what? Like, what would the end goal of this hoax be? Can you help unpack that before you go?
Well, I'm thinking the same thing. I mean, I literally just had a call before I got on the line with you here with somebody calling me up, or, an important person calling me up and saying, hey, we're getting, claims that this is actually a hoax. From a lawyer calling or something like that, right? I mean, like, exactly. Yeah. Being like, hey, what information do we have about this? And I'm like, well, the document was literally snatched from inside their office. But if it was a hoax, then this person that's on the bottom of the letter, or the Matamores Resource Center must have some very sophisticated enemies who are going out and planting flyers in their name, and you're waiting for somebody to find them. I guess that could be the only thing I could think of.
And again, for what purpose? It's like I could see someone going up to someone who has a Trump sign in their yard, removing it and placing a Biden sign. Like, there's a clear purpose for that, right? But I just can't wrap my head around what the purpose would be to hoax something like this and put it up in porta potties and hand it out to people that wind up in New York City. Like, it's an elaborate hoax. Anthony Rubin, great reporting on this. Again, the team at Muckraker were the ones to break this story wide open and actually get the flyers right out of the offices in south of the border down there. Anthony, thank you so much, as always.
Thank you so much, Clayton. I appreciate it.
Okay, you saw that, right? Mm-hmm. And what makes matters more ridiculous is that the guy who was supposed to be head of Homeland Security, Mayorkas, he was once a board member of HIAS. And you say, really? I thought that guy was from Cuba, not from, I thought that guy was from Cuba. Yeah, well, his family's from Cuba, but according to his biography, Mayorkas, I think his mother is Jewish. And of course, anyone who's ever hung out at the damn synagogue knows that the way it works is that if your mother is Jewish, you're Jewish. Hey, I don't make the rules, I'm just relaying them to you. Therefore, Mayorkas, he may be a Cuban, i.e. Hispanic, but he's also Jewish, so there you go. But regardless of that, then you say, well, how is that somebody used to be on the head of organization end up in Homeland Security whose job it is to guard the border? Yeah, it does make you think, doesn't it? Indeed, if we were in a Looney Tunes cartoon right now, we were basically watching the equivalent of Sylvester the Cat watching over Tweety Bird. Except Sylvester the Cat is highest and Tweety Bird is the border into the United States. So there you go. But yeah, it does make you wonder, is this clown Mayorkas basically leaving the border open so his homies over there in HIAS can basically have a fist bump as they let in millions and millions of people into the United States? It's possible. It's possible. Because I remember Moriarty, Robert Moriarty, not the Moriarty from the Sherlock Holmes, but Robert Moriarty, he famously said that if it happens once, you could call it an accident. If it happens twice, it can be considered suspicious. but it happens 3 times, it's enemy action. And when it comes to all these people coming across the border, it's been happening not 3 times, but more like 3 million times and counting. So it's enemy action. So yeah, Mayorkas, he ain't guarding the border. He's basically opened the floodgates and said, everybody come in. Now, of course, as you saw with that thing with Clayton Morris, yeah, that is just above and beyond the pale. So what can we do about it? Only thing I think of is that we need the damn secretaries of states in these various locations to double and triple check anyone who's trying to register to vote in these United States, because we can't have this. We can't have a bunch of knuckleheads who are not even Americans let open the floodgates into our country to try to influence our elections in a very real way. I mean, we can't have that. Otherwise, we ain't going to have a country anymore. We're just going to have one gigantic open air refugee camp, because you'll have too many knuckleheads in this country and nobody's going to be in charge. In fact, anyone who remembers that film, Idiocracy, that ridiculous film from a few years ago, yeah, the country's going to end up looking like that. And sooner than you realize, if these clowns show up here by the boatload and allowed to stay and basically take over our country from the inside out. And as for Hayes, yeah, they done good work in the past, but these people have clearly lost their way. Why is that? One thing I think of is that a bunch of woke leftist weirdos have hijacked the damn company from the inside out and basically turned it into a tool for mass migration. Or I should say mass illegal migration. Okay? Let's not be in pretend. Let's not be cute. That's what it is. But hey, there are some people who are trying to fix the problem. And of course, anyone who's been paying attention knows what I'm talking about, because right now, there's some people in the House of Representatives already delivered impeachment articles over to the Senate. Now, is Senate going to do anything? No, I don't mean impeachment articles about idiot Sleepy Joe. No, for Mayorkas, because apparently too many people knows what he's up to, and they don't like it, and therefore they're trying to get rid of the guy. Will they succeed? Well, the way the rules in the Senate work, you need 67 votes. Will they get 67 votes to get rid of Mayorkas? I doubt it. And besides, even if they did, guess what? Old Sleepy Joe is still behind a resolute desk. He'll just hire somebody just as bad or worse. So there you go. Yep, the only way to fix this problem is not so much impeach Mayorkas. We have to get rid of Joe Biden. Okay? That's the solution. Or as someone a lot smarter than me once said, the fish always rots from the head first. And right now, the head of this government is Joe Biden. And clearly, he's rotten. Rotten to the core. He's got all these awful people running all these federal agencies, and they're just totally making the United States look like the Titanic right after they hit that big chunk of ice in the middle of the Atlantic. Yep. We can only hope that we can get rid of this knucklehead who's running our country right into the toilet before the damn waters are up above our hairline. And of course, by that time, it'll be too late. I tell you, sometimes it makes you wonder, what's it all for? I mean, do these people hate our country that much that they want to totally blow it up from the inside out? or they just don't care. Because I remember someone like smarter than me once said that people who tend to vote for bad policies tend to do so in a way that doesn't affect them directly. Well, guess what? If these knuckleheads, like this resource center Matamoros, gets their way, it's going to affect everyone in this country a lot. Doesn't matter what your political stripe is. Because we can't have this. No way. No way, Jose. Well, that's all I'm going to say about this nonsense going on down at the border with these NGOs. That's my opinion.